Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. This is one that I wasn't really planning to make, but circumstances have dictated that I should probably weigh in on this gigantic commander ban that happened this morning. This is probably going to be a shorter video. I'm going to try not to talk at you for 40 minutes this time, but I just want to give a few thoughts on sort of each of the cards that got hit by the ban. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. As you can tell, it's going to be a nighttime video this time. I once again have my cup of tea. Once again, invite you to join me on this Magic the Gathering themed tea party. And let's talk about these 4 cards that got banned out of the Commander format today on Monday, the 23rd of September. First of all, this is just like, at least to me, someone on sort of the outside of whatever is going on in the rules committee for Commander, and I guess probably for most other people also, this totally caught me off guard. I had no idea anything like this was going to happen, and there really was no precedent set for anything like this. I think the last ban that the rules committee made was like 3 years ago, and that was just one card. I think it was that oh geez, shipwreck something, blue creature that makes it so that your opponents can only draw 1 card. So this coming as the first ban in 3 years, and they are hitting 4 very, very played cards in the Commander format. So let's get into it. The first one on this list of 4 banned cards is Docside. Let's see. Is it gonna open? Yes. Okay. Docside Extortionist. Yeah, I think maybe even before I get into the details of Docside itself, I will sort of preface all of this by saying I think that ultimately this ban is a good thing for the Commander format. That might be controversial to say, but I do believe that all 4 of these cards deserved to be banned in Commander. And I say that as somebody who owns... Let's skip Dockside for a minute and go over to Mana Crypt. I say that as somebody who owns a copy of Mana Crypt. I spent... well, it was traded a lot of cards, a lot of value worth of cards to get myself a copy of this like last year, and they are going to be plummeting to very, very low dollar amounts shortly. Even still, even though I have some stake in sort of maybe not wishing that this was banned for financial reasons, it totally makes sense for logical reasons. It totally makes sense for gameplay reasons, and I think that that can sort of be applied to all 4 of the cards on this list. So let's go back up to Dockside, because that's the first one of these 4 on the official Wizards announcement. Docside Extortionist is a 2-mana goblin. I mean, you probably know what it does, but I'll read it just for those of you who maybe are uncertain. It's a 2-mana 1/2 goblin pirate. When it enters, you make X treasures, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. This card is broken. This card is stupid. This card should never have been printed, should never have been allowed to be played at the Commander table. As of yesterday, Sunday, September 22nd, before this ban announcement, of all of the cards legal in the Commander format, this was the number 1 pick that I had that I believed should be banned, and I stand by that. I think this was the most problematic card in the format. Because if you think about it, think about Dark Ritual is the strongest ritual effect in the entire format. I'm trying to think about how I want to word this. Dark Ritual is a spell that you pay 1 mana for, and you get 3 mana. So it actually nets you 2 mana. You end up mana positive at the price of spending a card for it. Um, there are other rituals that sort of net you 1 mana, like Cabal Ritual, you spend 2 to get 3. Dark Ritual, you spend 1 to get 3, so you end up positive 2 mana. That card is still very strong and played in not a lot of decks, but played in certain decks that want to go extremely quickly. So let's look at first Docside Extortionist just as a ritual effect, because essentially what you're doing with Docside Extortionist is you're paying 2 mana to get, at the lower end of things, 4. Like, your opponents are, you're playing this and your opponents are going to at least have 2 treasure tokens and 2 random enchantments lying around. I mean, like, you could play it, you could even play it when your opponents have 3 and get 3 treasures off of this, and it would still be a decently strong play. But most of the time you're going to wait until you can play this and get 4 treasures off of it. At that point, you're netting as much mana as a Dark Ritual nets you. But unlike Dark Ritual, these are treasure tokens, so you can just hang on to them. They don't go away at the end of the phase. You can just keep them for as long as you want, which is crazy. Another ridiculous thing about this card is that's just like the lower bounds of what this thing can do. Oftentimes this is going to come down and make you 7, 8, 9, 10 mana, 10 treasure tokens that don't empty from your pool. You just have those now, which is ridiculous to get for 2 mana. It just catapults you so far ahead in terms of mana. And then obviously the other stupid thing about this dumb card is that it's on a creature with an enter the battlefield trigger. So you can clone this, you can blink this, you can reanimate this, you can return this to your hand with a Temur Sabertooth and recast this and still be netting mana. It goes infinite in so many ways, and even if it's not going infinite off of like a Temur Sabertooth or an Eldrazi Displacer or a Deadeye Navigator or something like that, even if you're not going infinite flickers, if you just cloud shift this, all of a sudden that turns your 10 mana treasure tokens into 20 treasure tokens. Even if you just reanimate this, like, your opponent, you're gonna get the value off of it once, and then, you know, you chump block with it and you play a reanimate, and then all of a sudden that's a 1 mana get 1 mana and 2 life to get 10 more treasure tokens. It's just ridiculous. Whenever a Dockside Extortionist comes down in a game, it's going to warp the entire game around it. Your opponents are going to be casting clones to try and copy it. You're going to be trying to kill it so you can reanimate it. You're going to just be looping it and potentially going infinite with it and just winning the game. That's the crazy thing, is it's such a powerful ritual ability. It's such a powerful acceleration ability, but it's also a combo piece. And not just a fringe combo piece, but it goes infinite with a lot, with a lot of things. So it does everything for you. It jumpstarts you, it gets you going in the beginning, and then it also closes the game. So, like, and it does those things so efficiently that I have been saying for years, basically since this card first got printed, that this card should not exist in the Commander format. And obviously, if you know this channel, I'm speaking as someone who's coming from more of a casual Commander perspective. So I know that this is going to have massive repercussions for CEDH, and I don't have much to say about that as someone who doesn't know a whole lot about it. But I will say that even there, I think that when you're starting to run Phantasmal Image just to clone your opponent's Dockside Extortionist, when you're starting to run Praetor's Grasp just so you can grab your opponent's Dockside Extortionist, when you're starting to run Reanimate just so you can reanimate, like, the entire CEDH format, even to some degree, is largely defined by this one dumb card. And, you know, a lot of CEDH players will probably argue, well, it's not dumb, it's just powerful. But I think that ultimately this is going to be a good thing for that format as well, even as someone who's going out probably over his expertise here. But just, the format could use a shakeup anyways, and this card just has way too much past tense, way too much influence across the entire EDH spectrum. So good riddance. Get out of here. You will not be missed by me, at least. I'm sorry to be so negative. Usually, I want to try and keep this channel upbeat and generally cheerful. But yeah, this is one of the saltiest cards for me in the entire format. So yeah, glad to see it go. Let's move to Jeweled Lotus. The next two cards are fast mana cards. These are both artifacts that just get you a lot of mana kind of out of nowhere. Sort of similar to Docside Extortionist. Except unlike Docside Extortionist, both Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt are less likely to go infinite with just about anything and win you the game. There's still some combos you can do with these cards, but in general, they're not going to go infinite with just about everything. So Jeweled Lotus is a 0 mana artifact. You can sack it for 3 mana of any color, any one color, and you can only use that mana to cast your commander. Yeah, I mean, it just accelerates games so quickly from turn 1. If one player draws a Jeweled Lotus, it's very similar to Sol Ring in the sense that they're just going to be like 3-4 turns ahead of the rest of the table. I feel less strongly about this one, but I do see that it's ridiculously powerful, and yeah, I'm not sad to see this one go either. A lot of people are making the argument, and we can maybe talk more about this when we go over to Crypt. But a lot of people are making the argument, well, you're banning fast mana, you're banning Jeweled Lotus, you're banning Mana Crypt, why not just stay consistent and also ban Sol Ring? But I don't think that's a very strong argument, especially in a singleton format, because you just went from 3 options of ridiculously powerful mana accelerating mana rocks. That's 3 in 99 to 1 in 99. And statistically, that's going to make a huge difference. You're going to see your Sol Ring in your opening hand a lot less often than you're either going to see Sol Ring, Jeweled Lotus, or Mana Crypt. Another reason why I think be consistent and ban this other card that's similar to the card that you banned is a poor argument. There's always going to be another card that's similar to the other card that you're looking. There's so many Magic cards, and you have to draw the line somewhere. If you just keep going along the lines of, this kind of looks like this if you squint at it, so we should probably ban that too. And then if we ban that one, then this kind of looks similar, and we should probably ban all of these also. So you can't just ban an entire category of cards. And so I think it makes sense to ban a few of the strongest examples of a singular category, in this case, fast mana rocks. It makes sense to ban the most powerful ones. Obviously, Sol Ring is still one of the most powerful ones. But it makes sense to ban a few of them and to leave the most iconic card in the format. And also the card that costs maybe less than 1% of what Crypt costs. It's way more accessible. People can actually use their Sol Rings, and it's not a barrier to entry for newer players. So I'm here for it. Focus the person who gets the turn 1 Sol Ring, and at least those crazy starts where you're on turn 1 with 4 or 5 mana are going to be less frequent now because Jeweled Lotus is gone and Mana Crypt is gone. Again, I own a Mana Crypt. Ouch. Rip. It is what it is. I still, again, as I said earlier, think that it's going to ultimately be a good thing for the format. This is just stupid. 0 mana Sol Ring, essentially. 0 mana to get 2 mana for the rest of the game or until somebody removes it. Yeah, it hurts, but who cares? You have 40 life. It's basically all I have to say about this one. The other thing that I'll say is a lot of people are saying, it's just as powerful, or Sol Ring is just as powerful. It's not. This is stronger than Sol Ring. Mana Crypt is stronger than Sol Ring. Yes, it damages you. I don't care. You shouldn't care either. The fact that you're getting this for 0 mana instead of 1 mana is enormous. Think of all of the other cards that 1 mana would make a difference for. I'm trying to think of an example, but just like think of rampant growth versus a 3 mana ramp spell. Like, that's night and day. So the fact that you're paying 0 for this and you pay 1 for Soul Ring, this can come down on turn 1 and you still have an untapped colored source that's your land that you played for turn. Usually with Soul Ring, you have to go land, tap the land for Soul Ring, and then you're left with 2 colorless mana, so you don't have a whole lot of plays after that unless you have a Signet or something. With Crypt, you just go untapped land, untapped mana Crypt for free, and all of a sudden you have 3 mana that you're working with on turn 1, and one of them is a colored mana. So the difference is night and day. Yes, it damages you. That doesn't matter. That's not a good argument. Even if you're like on some like ad nauseum plan, the tempo that this creates for costing 0 mana, you're just gonna get to cast your ad nauseum even sooner. So you're losing the 3 life is not gonna even be relevant because the game is gonna be over. So yeah, that's my thoughts about Crypt. Again, it's a very strong card. It was a prohibitively expensive card. Every deck should be playing it, but obviously not everybody can afford to play it, and most people can't afford to play it. So yeah, it's an accessibility thing, but it's also a speed thing. By banning Jeweled Lotus and Crypt and Dockside, games are going to slow down substantially. And I think for the better. It's better to sort of let people have the first couple turns of the game to sort of get things going, in my opinion, and then, not be playing 4 or 5 mana spells on turn 1 of the game. And if you are doing it, just have it be a thing that happens every once in a while with your 1 Soul Ring and your 99. So yeah, that's my take on all of this. Fight me in the comments. And then we'll go down to Nadu. Don't have a whole lot to say about Nadu. Yeah, I mean, it's banned everywhere else. Wizards have admitted that it was a design mistake, that they had to change at the last minute, and that they goofed and didn't realize how it interacts with 0 mana equip costs. The combos are disgusting. The turns take 20, 30 minutes of just like churning through your deck and equipping Lightning Greaves or Shuko from one creature to the next, and your opponent's just sitting there like saying, "Am I dead?" And you're like, I don't know, hang out for another 15 minutes or so and let's find out. So yeah, not super sad to see this one go either. I actually did play a CEDH tournament with a deck of mine that is not very CEDH, and so I knew well that I was going to get my ass handed to me when I went into this tournament a couple of weeks ago, but I got to play against a Nadu deck, and I have to say it was my first time doing it, and it was cool for the experience just to actually see it in action. But yeah, after that I was like, I don't need to ever do that again. I've done it, I've had the experience, and I'm okay never having that experience again. So yeah, not a whole lot more to say about Nadu Winged Wisdom either. But yeah, trying to keep this video short. That's pretty much all I have to say about those 4 cards. To recap, I support all of this. I think that it'll be interesting to see the way that the format evolves in the absence of these cards, and I think it's going to open up a lot of other new possibilities and potentially allow for some more grindy, slower strategies to actually be somewhat viable. Again, not really trying to get into what CEDH might look like, because I don't know that much about it, but yeah, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts if you know more about the format of competitive EDH. But yeah, I personally am totally on board with this. I hope that they don't just keep going willy-nilly and banning a ton of cards, because I think that could start to get a little dicey. But as far as these 4 go, they, especially Dockside, good lord. Yeah, I am not offended by this, and in fact, I'm kind of excited about it. So that's my take. Before I go, I want to try something new. My friend got me this Magic the Gathering Oracle deck, and apparently it's kind of like a tarot deck, but it only has 52 cards, so I haven't ever actually used it before, but I think that this would be a cool setting to sort of do a quick little reading for you all before I sign off. And you can take this with you into your day. So let's get this deck out. And we'll just pick one card. I probably won't have a whole lot to say about whatever the card is because I've never worked with this deck before, but maybe it'll speak to you. All right. So we've got you are your words. Meletian Hero. Interesting. So we have a dude holding a scroll. And if I mean, Meletian I'm pretty sure is that Theros? Not 100% sure, but this dude definitely looks like he would vibe with the Azorius Guild as well. Seems very scholarly and lawful. But yeah, you are your words. Interesting. I won't extrapolate on that too much, but here I am giving my words on all of this. And yeah, I guess I would just keep that in mind as you give your words as well. And hopefully you give some of your own words in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on all of this as well. So that's all I have for you tonight. Have a good one, and I will see you in the next video.